Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. Yesterday, the Braves held open workouts. Fans are in attendance. They're going to do it today, and they're going to do it tomorrow as well. But there were two huge developments, both dealing with starting pitchers. The first, the most important, Max Fried tossed 5 innings, 76 pitches. He did have a Band-Aid. They're not going to comment on his health going forward. But you go 5 innings. I just don't see. It looks like he's playing. Like, it looks like he's ready to go. It wasn't like he pitched a lights out 5 innings. He gave up back-to-back homers to Kevin Pillar and Sean Murphy. Obviously, Braves fans might overreact to that. No reason to overreact. He was working on some things. I guarantee you, working on comfortability, working on grips, working on pickoffs. They were putting runners on first. It wasn't a real game. Nothing like that. Not worried about the results. Worried about the health. I expect him. It looks like we're going to get game 1 Spencer Strider, game 2 Max Fried, which I think if Max Fried's healthy, that's reversed. But I'm confident in Spencer Strider in that game 1. And listen, if the series is short enough, you don't have to go 5 games, then you get Max Fried starting in that game 2 or that NLCS game 1.
Yeah, I think there's two different situations, and we're going to talk about AJ Smith-Shawver after this, but we're more concerned about the actual process than the results with Max Fried. Yeah, it's all about the blister and just keeping him healthy. And to be honest, like, even if he isn't 100%, he's got to go out there just because of the Brave situation. And I know that you said it. You said it yesterday. Go check it out if you haven't seen it on the YouTube Sports Talk ATL. That you'd rather have, a 100% AJ Smith-Shawver than say, a 50% Max Fried or a 50% whoever. But a blister doesn't seem quite like a flu or an oblique injury that even if he's 80%, you got to go out there and gut it. And there's no reason that I'm saying this because Max Fried won't. He absolutely will. He's just that type of guy that he's going to gut through just about anything to be out there. He's that big of a competitor. I think that it's very reassuring for the Braves that he did go out there and throw 70-something pitches. Like, I think we can rest assured that he's going to be the starter in game 2. It's that simple. He wouldn't have been out there throwing that many pitches if he wasn't good to go.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I thought the whole blister thing was precautionary. I even think throwing with a Band-Aid might be precautionary just to make sure that thing does not rehash or flare up or whatever. So the fact that he was able to throw 5 innings almost a full week before, 6 days before it starts through 76 pitches. Very reassuring. But perhaps the more interesting development was AJ Smith-Shawver, who was on the mound opposite in this scrimmage. He throws 5 scoreless innings, only gives up 1 hit, allows a couple of walks, has 5 strikeouts. Listen, this guy, I've talked about him. I don't think there's any way that the Braves keep him off the NLDS roster, especially after this. He's finished the season strong. He has high upside. Whether they use him or whether they don't, that's 2 totally different conversations. But if I were leaning to a certain way today, I like the idea in game 3 of piggybacking AJ Smith-Shawver and then piggybacking with Kyle Wright, or maybe you start the veteran and Kyle Wright and go to the rookie, the 20-year-old rookie and AJ Smith-Shawver, however they want to do it, because it is going to be a road contest. And I've talked about my concerns with Bryce Elder. I do not trust, because it's not like Bryce Elder has this like postseason experience. He's pitched for the Braves all year. He obviously had a great first half. He hasn't been good in the second half. He has no postseason experience. He has just as much postseason experience as AJ Smith-Shawver. I much rather have AJ Smith-Shawver, and he's only going to throw a few innings. And I think you do the whole piggyback thing with him and Kyle Wright. I think that gives you the best chance to win on the road in a hostile environment, which we're expecting to be Philadelphia.
In terms of blow you away stuff, this bullpen doesn't have much of it. So I do tend to agree that having a guy like that who's got a flamethrower, AJ Smith-Shawver, to kind of bring out of the bullpen is valuable, very valuable. I think you could see Max Fried, Spencer Strider, Bryce Elder, Kyle Wright, and AJ Smith-Shawver on this postseason roster. Kyle Wright and AJ Smith-Shawver coming out of the bullpen. I think I tend to agree with you that game 3 is going to be one of those hosh-posh. It's especially depending on how the first 2 games go, that is going to be some of that hosh-posh. If anybody's in trouble, regardless of who's in the game, you're getting yanked. I still think that Bryce Elder gets the nod, but that's not to say that AJ Smith-Shawver and Kyle Wright couldn't piggyback off of him. Even both of them. I mean, if all 3 of those guys go 2 innings, then you're right there where you need to be in terms of your high leverage guys. So that could be a play. I tend to agree that AJ Smith-Shawver, I don't know how you watch him handle one of the best lineups in baseball. I think Marcell Ozuna was the only guy maybe Sean Murphy as well, was the only guy not in the starting lineup that was on AJ Smith-Shawver's team.
Yeah, then you had
so
Travis
that was
Barnett
basically
on the other side too.
So that was basically the Braves starting lineup.
Yeah,
and he handled them.
And I've said this about AJ Smith-Shawver, and you can talk, but I mean, he's obviously looked pretty. He struggled at times in Gwinnett. He's coming off kind of a little tweak of his shoulder, but he's building his way back up. And I've said, if you go look at AJ Smith-Shawver, 5 out of his 6 outings at the major league level were either studly or really good, like a 5 innings, 2 runs. The only hiccup he had was in Cincinnati in that small ballpark against a red hot Reds team that was hitting everybody at that time. They had won like 11, 12, 13 in a row. So, I almost throw that game out the window. Like I said, there's so many ways you can use them. It's going to depend on how much you need. Like, for hypothetically, it's 1-1 going into game 3. I see almost no chance they send Bryce Elder there. Now, if it's 2-0, it could be a different scenario. Maybe they want to save Kyle Wright and AJ Smith-Shawver for bigger moments if they arrive later. Maybe they want to save those 2 guys for an NLCS game 2 or game 3 start. So it's definitely going to depend how it goes. But I think if you're putting your best foot forward, you need a win in that game. I don't know how it's not some combination of, and it might not be AJ Smith-Shawver. Like, he is a 20-year-old rookie. We do have to take that. He only has 6 major league appearances, but I don't know how it's Bryce Elder.
Well, let's just, this is the Atlanta Braves don't operate under, typical guidelines of other franchises. I think that if they think AJ Smith-Shawver can contribute in the postseason, it doesn't matter what his age is. I mean, they've shown time and time again that they're not afraid to call on their young guys. And if they think that he's ready for the moment, I think that it won't even be a hesitation that he'll be on that playoff roster and probably get a chance to pitch in maybe not a high leverage situation, but on the big stage in a big moment.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to need guys the way you look, whether it's in the NLDS or whether it's the NLCS or whatever, they're going to need guys to go multiple innings. The one positive will say about whatever they do in game 3, and we're talking about this hodgepodge situation of throwing out whoever, and it's going to be a quick leash. And when I say quick, it's going to be a 1-inning leash. Like, they're going to take it inning by inning. And a big reason for that is because they're going to be able, they can. And it's a lot to do with the off days. You have an off day after game 1, an off day after game 2. By the time you get to game 3, you've had 9 out of the last 11 days off. Like, your bullpen should be as fresh as it possibly can be, especially if Strider and Fried can give you some length, which you're expecting them to. So it will be not just a quick leash. It will be, you walk a batter to start the inning. That might be it for you, buddy. Like, they're going to have guys warming up throughout the game, and that's how it's going to be. And that's how the postseason is. And that's why you got to love it. I mean, it is just a different brand of baseball. And if you make mistakes, especially with a lot of these guys not having a ton of postseason experience, whether it be in the bullpen or AJ Smith-Shawver or Bryce Elder, you're not going to be in there long, especially on the road.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Talking about this is getting me riled up. I'm getting riled up right now. I can't wait for this game. I think I'm still on the Bryce Elder starting game 3 no matter what. And I think the leash, it depends on game 1 and 2. He's going to have a long leash if it's
we'll talk about this later in the week, because we're going to see Bryce Elder on the mound in one of these 2 days. We're going to see him on the mound. So if he can throw strikes in these simulated games, maybe he gets the opportunity. My biggest issue with him, he hasn't been able to throw strikes recently. You do that on the road. In Philadelphia, you might as well chalk it up as a loss. If he can't throw strikes in these sim games, I think there's 0% chance. If he can, maybe we revisit this conversation, and I have a different tone. Coming up after the break, Mike Greenberg says Justin Fields and the Falcons would kind of be way better off than they are right now.